Miami Dolphins fans finally get the news they've been waiting for the entire season. I'm Nic Rohloff here at Dolphins Today by Chat Sports, and we have a lot to break down on today's show leading into NFL Week 14, and it is around Bradley Chubb. I know a lot of you guys have been asking me in the comments section on our live streams, when is Bradley Chubb going to be back? What is the latest on Chubb? Because he is still rehabbing from that knee injury he suffered late last season that has kept him out for the entirety of the year. Well, I got the news, folks. The 21-day practice window is finally opened, which means he could come back to practice. He has 21 days to be activated to the 53-man roster. If he doesn't, he's on IR and out for the rest of the season, but I do expect him to be activated. Him and Cameron Goode will both have their 21-day window opened. Mike McDaniel said it at his press conference this morning, and they will both practice on Wednesday as well, and we'll talk more about that in just a second. But make sure you are subscribed to the channel because we are putting out daily content here at Dolphins Today. We are also live twice a week on Tuesdays for our weekly live show and then on game days as well. So hit that sub button and never miss a beat of Miami Dolphins news. All right, let's shift it back to Bradley Chubb and Cameron Goode, but we'll focus mostly on Bradley Chubb because this is big-time news for the Finns. Since Jaelan Phillips went down in the first month of the season with that Achilles injury, it's just been tough to see him in this Dolphins pass rush struggle without him, right? You've had to rely on Chop Robinson, the first-round rookie out of Penn State, but we know that he has been starting to play good football over the past week and a half. And then Emmanuel Ogbah, the veteran who you signed to replace Shaq Barrett, who obviously had that whole debacle of potentially coming back. Those two have been your guys, and you've forecasted at least to have both Jaelan Phillips and Bradley Chubb as your top two, with Shaq Barrett as your third guy and Chop Robinson as your fourth guy. It's been quite the season for the edge rushers, and this group could definitely use the veteran experience and elite play that we've seen from Bradley Chubb in his career. And we know that he had one of his best seasons of his entire NFL career last year. Prior to that injury he suffered super late in the season. He had 11 sacks. Him, Zach Sealer, and Jaelan Phillips were an amazing trio on that front four and front seven for the Dolphins last season, and it's been something that Miami has missed desperately this year. Yes, they have gotten better at getting after the quarterback over the past month and a half, but remember, we talked about it. They had 10 sacks in their first 9 games. They were bottom 3 in all of football at bringing opposing quarterbacks down. Bradley Chubb being back into the fold will help the Miami Dolphins defense in a variety of ways, whether it's getting after the quarterback, because if they want to go 5-0 in their final 5 games and make the postseason, they're going to have to do that. And if they have aspirations on potentially even getting an upset win in the playoffs, if they happen to get there, they certainly will need to pressure the quarterback, whether it be Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, or Russell Wilson, and he will help provide that, but he will also help your run defense as well, which we know is an issue after that Green Bay Packers game. All right, we're going to continue the conversation here in just a second, but show me that you are fired up for Bradley Chubb to be back in a Dolphins uniform on the field this upcoming Sunday. Spam his jersey number 2 down below. We mentioned that it is going to be big for the pass rush. And when you look at the final 5 games for Miami, you play Aaron Rodgers twice. You play whatever quarterback the Browns are going to throw out there, likely Jameis Winston barring injury, and then Brock Purdy and C.J. Stroud. So you're going to have to pressure some of these quarterbacks if you want to win. But the most important part that Chubb might bring to the table is actually his ability to set the edge in the run game, because over his career, he has been graded out pretty average in the run defense department, 63.4 spanning across his 6 seasons in the NFL after being a top pick out of NC State. But the reason why I am happy just to potentially get him back is because how bad it has been for the Dolphins. You have seen Emmanuel Ogbah struggle in this department. As good as Chop Robinson has been over the past 6 weeks, he is still very, very bad at playing in the run game. And Bradley Chubb will help fix that. And there is another benefit of having Chubb back for the Miami Dolphins. And that has nothing to do with his play and helping this team win now. But there is an actual chance that you might look to trade Bradley Chubb this offseason. Because when you think of the long-term future of this edge department, are you keeping Chop Robinson, Bradley Chubb, and Jaelan Phillips? It's very likely that you drafted Chop Robinson this past draft to be the long-term replacement for one of Chubb or Phillips. Well, could Chubb be traded this offseason? He has a high price tag and a high contract and a high cap hit, but because of that, you might not get the assets back that you traded to acquire him when you sent a first-round pick a couple seasons ago. Well, if you get Chubb on film, and he puts together 4 or 5 games of good tape returning from this knee injury, it might induce a better return on this trade that you potentially make in the offseason if you move off of Bradley Chubb. It's unlikely that you get a second-round pick, but you could still get a third-round pick if Chubb is back on the field looking like the Bradley Chubb that we have seen over the past 6 seasons. You're certainly not getting the first-round pick back you traded a couple years ago. Maybe if Bradley Chubb looks like an elite edge rusher and has 4 or 5 sacks in the 4 games he returns and 5 games he comes back and plays, and maybe you get a second-round pick if you wanted to move off of him, but I doubt that, but a third-round pick could absolutely be in play. All right, we're going to talk about what Chubb's contract does look like in just a second. But we are sponsored by Mando, the #1 whole body deodorant, and the only one that I trust to make sure I am smelling right. It is whole body deodorant. It's safe to use anywhere on your body. It's created by a doctor who saw firsthand how normal BO was being misdiagnosed and mistreated. It's clinically proven to block odor all day and control odor for up to 72 hours. And the Mando starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice like mini body wash and deodorant wipes, plus free shipping. And I have a couple products in studio today, 2 of my favorites, the normal stick deodorant and the deodorant wipes. The reason why I like the deodorant wipes is because, well, I like to golf. I'm an active person, and I carry around these things with me everywhere. So if I have to go to the store after working out or golfing or meeting up with people real quick, I can make sure I'm still smelling good and I'm not stinking up the joint with those deodorant wipes. And I'm telling you, if you choose the 2 free products, make sure you get those deodorant wipes. And as a special offer for listeners this holiday season, new customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code CHAT. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack when you use code CHAT at shopmando.com, shopmando.com. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Smell fresher, stay drier, and boost your confidence from head to toe with Mando. All right, let's get back to Bradley Chubb because just a month ago, Barry Jackson of the Miami Herald kind of laid out what it would look like on his contract if he were to get dealt. None of his $19.4 million 2025 salary is guaranteed. His $29.3 million cap number for 2025 drops only to $27.4 million if he's cut or traded before June 1st. But it's different if it's after. It's a $9.1 million 2025 dead money cap hit for Miami if he's cut after June 1st, but the Dolphins obviously couldn't use any of that money to sign free agents in March. So it's interesting when you talk about a potential Bradley Chubb trade if the Dolphins wanted to free up some money. Yes, if they wanted to do it to help sign free agents in March, well, that's not going to really be helpful to move off Bradley Chubb. But if you wanted to just clear the books a little bit after June 1st, you saved close to $20 million with only a dead cap hit of $9 million. So I could definitely see whoever's GM, whether it's still Chris Greer or if they get rid of him and bring someone else in, to be on the move for Bradley Chubb. But you also have to wonder if it's really not going to help you sign new free agents. Wouldn't you just want the productivity that he would give you next season? And you have both Jalen Phillips, Bradley Chubb with Chop Robinson as a trio of edge rushers to get after quarterbacks in 2025. It's certainly something that I could see happening, but I still would probably lean on him staying in Miami for another season with a contract restructure. All right, let's shift over from Bradley Chubb now to some other injury news surrounding the Miami Dolphins, and we're going to specifically look at the cornerback room. Kendall Fuller, who got concussed in Week 10 against the Los Angeles Rams. He's missed the last 3 weeks against the Raiders, Patriots, and Packers. There's optimism for him to play this week from Mike McDaniel with other corners. Kader Kohou suffered a back injury on Thursday night against the Packers. We'll see his status is very much in the air for this upcoming Week 14 game against the Jets. Cam Smith dislocated his shoulder, unlikely to play Sunday, likely out for multiple weeks in my opinion with that dislocated shoulder. He's been struggling this season, and we'll see if he is going to return at all this year. And that was kind of what Mike McDaniel said. The Cam Smith injury is a little more severe, and it is unlikely that he is going to return anytime soon. And I kind of want to just talk about Cam Smith just for 1 second here, because I think this guy might be a bust. Remember, he was a second-round pick in 2023 out of South Carolina. They used a top 55 pick on this guy to bring in and hopefully be that long-term boundary corner opposite of Jalen Ramsey after Xavier Howard got moved on from. Well, he played absolutely no snaps in his rookie season with Vic Fangio at defensive coordinator. I don't know why I couldn't just talk right there for a second. But then when you bring him in this year, he missed the first 4 weeks of the season. He comes back. Kendall Fuller misses some times. And when he was filling in on the outside against the Arizona Cardinals and other teams like the Buffalo Bills, he was picked on. He was absolutely abused. And then he gets his number called on this past week and gets hurt. But not to mention, with Kendall Fuller out the last 3 weeks, you would expect to see Cam Smith out there as the boundary corner for the entire 3-week span. Well, guess what? He only was in the game against Green Bay because Kader Kohou got hurt. The UDFA out of Louisville, Storm Duck, was the man who got his number called for the games against the Patriots and Raiders instead of Cam Smith. Unfortunately, I think Cam Smith might be a bust, and it's hard to say after just 1.5 seasons that a second-round pick's a bust, but I might be willing to go there. Chris Grier, I think, missed again. But let me know your thoughts on that. Did Chris Grier miss on this pick in the second round of 2023? Is he a bust? Type Y for yes or type N for no. All right, we're going to round out today's show with some quarterback news because Tyler Huntley is officially named as the backup quarterback to Tua Tagovailoa against the Jets this upcoming Sunday. And this is a good point here made, thinking that means probably the end of Skylar Thompson as the backup quarterback in Miami. It's about time. I don't know what took so long to finally realize that Skylar Thompson is not an NFL quarterback. And I get it. You're not going to have some elite backup usually. But when you have a quarterback like Tua, who has the extensive injury history that he does, you need to have a better backup plan than Skylar Thompson. Because if you had a better backup quarterback plan, maybe you don't go 1-3 against the Titans, Colts, Patriots, in those teams that in the Seahawks that you missed Tua with. Maybe you go 2-2 and your season's completely different and you're 6-6 right now. To me, there was just a terrible plan by Chris Grier and this organization front office to have Skylar Thompson be his backup quarterback. It just malpractice. And even though I think Tyler Huntley is a better backup quarterback than Skylar Thompson, there are going to be a lot of needs this offseason for the Dolphins. Still getting a good backup quarterback should still be at the top of the list because you probably can bank on Tua missing 1, 2, heck, maybe even 4 games a season because of his injury history. And if he plays 17 games like he did in 2023, good. I'm fine wasting the money that you are using on a backup quarterback if that means Tua is playing all 17 games. But you need to have a better plan just in case he gets hurt because, hey, if you signed a better backup quarterback like a Jameis Winston, maybe like a Joe Flacco, like I said, you might be 6-6 right now rather than 5-7, and you'd be in a much better spot to potentially make the postseason. All right, that's going to do it for today's episode of Dolphins Today. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Like I said, we will be live tomorrow on Tuesday afternoon for our weekly live show, and we are still going to bring you content every day leading up to this Sunday's Week 14 game against the New York Jets. Back in Miami, Jets are reeling. Hopefully the Dolphins are able to win, get a bounce-back win, and hey, if you still believe and want to make the postseason, you're going to need to win every game here on out, and we'll be documenting it along the way.